Buyer closing costs in New York City are between 1.5% to 6% of the purchase price. Buyer closing costs are higher for condos versus co-ops, and closing costs are the highest for new developments. The largest buyer closing costs in New York City include the mortgage recording tax of 1.8% to 1.925%, as well as the mansion tax of 1% on purchases of $1 million or more. Other large buyer closing costs include title insurance for condos and houses, real estate attorney fees, as well as lender, building, and miscellaneous fees. Mortgage recording tax 1.8% to 1.925%. The mortgage recording tax is 1.8% for loans below $500,000 and 1.925% for loans of $500,000 or more. The actual MRT rates are 2.05% and 2.175%. However, most banks generally cover 0.25% of the MRT for residential deals. The mortgage recording tax is not applicable to co-ops, as the tax only applies to real property. Co-ops are not considered to be real property since unit owners actually purchase shares in the private corporation that owns the co-op. Because the MRT is based on the loan size as opposed to the purchase price, you can lower your buyer closing costs by paying all cash or by increasing the size of your down payment. Mansion tax, 1%. The mansion tax is a 1% tax paid by buyers on purchases above $1 million. The mansion tax is a statewide tax collected by the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. Originally imposed in 1989, the tax has not been adjusted for inflation since it was passed into law. As a result, the name mansion tax is a misnomer, since it now applies to the sale of properties which are very un-mansion-like in nature, such as small one-bedroom apartments or even alcove studios in Manhattan. Title insurance, 0.4% to 0.5%. Title insurance is approximately 0.4% to 0.5% of the purchase price. It's a one-time fee which provides a buyer with an insurance policy against defects or future claims against the title of a property being purchased, which were unknown at the time of purchase. Attorney fees, $2,000 to $3,000. The typical real estate attorney fee for a buyer is between $2,000 to $3,000. Fees can be higher depending on the complexity of the transaction. There are also discount lawyers who charge less. However, you should be careful that paying less for your lawyer does not sacrifice quality and possibly risk your deal. Building fees, approximately $2,000. All condos and co-ops charge buyers a handful of fees when making the purchase. These may include a board application fee, move-in fee, and/or a move-in deposit. Bank fees, approximately $3,000. If you're financing, you'll need to pay a handful of mortgage-related fees which include an application fee, an appraisal fee, bank attorney fees, and a mortgage recording fee. Looking to buy or sell a home in New York? Learn how you can save on commission and closing costs at www.hauseit.com.